This is the curiosity box from Vsauce. Let's see how interesting this box really is. Let's start with the packaging. Wait, what does it say? This isn't just a box, it's a cuboid globe. A globe in the shape of a cube. If you look closely, then you see this is the north and this is the south. So the packaging itself is a globe. Yeah, that's very on brand. Take something familiar and shift the geometry just enough to make you think. Alright, now let's actually open it. Inside, a proper manual. Not just assemble and enjoy, but actual explanations of what this is. There's history, some context, a bit of science, illustrations, diagrams, clean layout. You can tell they put effort into this. But honestly, I always prefer trying things first. Alright, let's take these out. A pentagon-shaped box. A calendar. A puzzle game. A book. And something sealed. Not bad. Let's start with this. Interesting year. Let's set that aside for now. At first, this actually looks like a set of coasters. Pentagons with maps on them. But these definitely aren't coasters. They're fragments of a globe. Looks like we're rebuilding Earth. First, find the pole. There it is. 1 piece. 2. Right now it looks like a very strange puzzle. I'm curious what inspired this design. A honeycomb? No. This is definitely pub beer coasters. But slowly the shape starts closing in. And there it is. A globe from 1490. If you look closely, and this is a very strange version of Earth. There are islands here that don't exist anymore. And America, not here at all. Because this is based on one of the early globes. The world didn't look different back then. People just imagined it differently. Planet assembled. Strong start. Next item. Life and Adventures of Robinson Crusoe. Let's open it. Alright, Robinson Crusoe. Desert Island Edition. Nice. The rest is just normal pages, so let's jump straight to the bookmark. Inside a flint striker. That makes sense. If you're going to survive, you need fire. Let's run a small experiment. I'll need a plate and a napkin. Of course, this isn't ideal, but it should work for testing. First, the napkin needs to be crumpled well, so the fibres become loose. The key is that the tinder has to be dry and airy. Now here's the important part. Fire isn't started by just throwing sparks at it. You can do that, but it's much harder. First, we use the metal edge to carefully scrape fine particles off the flint, without creating sparks. Then that material will ignite first and set the tinder on fire. So instead of relying on a single spark, we're creating many tiny ignition points at once. Oh, that worked a little too well. I may have overestimated the building's fire safety system. I decided to move the experiment somewhere safer. A winter forest feels more appropriate. If you're going to start a fire, you start with structure. Small sticks first, then slightly bigger ones. Airflow matters. Fire needs oxygen as much as it needs fuel. Oh, perfect timing. I have assistance. Let's open the box again. Robinson Crusoe. If we're doing this properly, we should commit to the theme. A page from the book. I hope the author understands. Survival requires sacrifice. Now we add the prepared tinder, a few sparks. Oh, there it is. Carefully feed it in. Let it breathe. And now it's working. That's better. Fire. Probably humanity's simplest and most important technology. But if Robinson was on a tropical island, we probably need a coconut. Well, that's a surprisingly versatile book. It works not only for starting a fire, but also for getting food. Very practical. I'm not sure about catching crabs, but for coconuts, officially field tested. Now the game. Let's see what's inside. Wooden geometric pieces. Cards with challenges. Difficulty levels. There are a lot of cards, and they're double-sided. Let's shuffle. Pick one at random. I could try to do this on a timer, but I'm not emotionally ready for that. Let's just try. The hardest part about puzzles like this is your brain keeps trying to simplify the shape, make it flat, but it's three-dimensional. You have to retrain how you see it. Honestly, this is a great toy. As a kid, I would have spent hours on this. We just didn't have things like this. Done. It matches. Back to the curiosity box. Let's see what this is. a scarf. Interesting zipper, an octopus holding a Klein bottle. That's very appropriate. Let's try it on. Oh, the hat. That's better, much better. A nice detail. I like when small things aren't random. Even the zipper pull fits the theme. Someone clearly thought this through. Now let me show you something interesting. Because this isn't just a scarf, it's a geometric object with only one surface. And instead of splitting into two separate scarves, it becomes one longer loop. That's because this is a Möbius strip. It has only one continuous side. If I zip it back up, let's test it. If I draw a line along the surface, if this were a normal scarf, one loop would bring me right back to the start. But watch this. I go all the way around, and I don't close the line. I end up on the other side of where I started. That's the Möbius part. To get back to the exact starting point, you'd need a second full loop. I started thinking, what unusual thing could I even do with this scarf? Honestly, I like it too much to use it as a timing belt or part of a suspension system. So I'd rather preserve it for a long time. Vacuum sealed. That worked. Now it's officially the densest scarf I own. Still a Möbius strip, just more compressed. And finally, the calendar. Let's take a closer look. Looks pretty stylish. I like the hardcover. Magnetic back, so you can stick it on a wall or hang it properly. Nice and practical. It stands on its own. Clean layout. Dates, moon phases, planetary positions. Every day mapped out. Time organised, one day at a time. Let's flip through. Days turning into weeks. Weeks into months. The moon cycling again and again. And just like that, we're back where we started. I remembered an old movie scene, a Bible stopping a bullet over someone's heart. I don't have a gun, but I do have a mallet, a calendar, and a piece of meat. That should be close enough. Science demands verification. 1, 2. Looks cool. Let's see that again. Interesting. Let's assess the damage. Through the cover, through January, February, March, April. And it stops. On May 6th, that's roughly 4 months, about 126 days of paper. Not bad for a calendar. Turns out time can absorb quite a lot of impact. It didn't stop a bullet, but it did survive a very determined mallet. Close enough. Just in case.